Hey everybody, it's me, Joel Simmons, back again from the Tenacity Foundation with another It Starts With Me. We are here every single Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So first off, I'd like to tell you all, please like, subscribe, share, follow, hit the alarm button so that you can remember when we are starting. Today, we've got a great show. We have the executive chairman of the Logos Bible software. So I can't wait to hear from him, and we'll probably ask him a little bit of questions about that as well. His name is Bob Pritchett. But before we bring him on, let's take care of a few other things. Remember, my co-host from Community Beacon is here every single Monday at 9 o'clock p.m. And he's got his motivational nights with Mike, motivational Mike nights. This guy is amazing. He is entrepreneur, king of real estate, business mogul, and he is giving out gems every single Monday. Right now, he's talking a lot about how to have a mindset shift and move your mind into places where you can gain greater success in life. You need to listen to him. Check him out, YouTube at Michael Seville. Also, on Fridays, Mike Seville and myself will be together for the Community Beacon, where our objective is the lessons that we've learned, as well as lessons that others have taught. We like to bring them all together and shine a light onto the community that's around us so that they can access a more freer mindset and even a freer body, And so with these lessons that we are teaching, as well as lessons that we have learned, we enjoy sharing them with people everywhere so that they can create a better lifestyle and reach the highest access of themselves possible, and then excel. All right. So be there with us, Community Beacon, every single Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Bob and give him the right bio. All right. Let's talk about him. Bob Pritchett is the co-founder of Faithlife Corporation, the makers of Logos Bible software, and serves as executive chairman. Bob speaks regularly at industry conferences and to academic groups on entrepreneurship, electronic publishing, and digital libraries. He is a 2005 winner of the Ernst Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, one of the Glassdoor's highest rated CEOs of 2015, and was included in the Puget Sound Business Journal's 40 Under 40. Bob lives with his wife, Audra, in Bellingham, Washington. They have 2 adult children. Bob's latest book, Start Next Now, I love that title, How to Get the Life You've Always Wanted, was released in October 2015. Fire Someone Today and Other Surprising Tactics for Making Your Business a Success was released in April 2006 and has been translated into Russian and Korean. We're going to ask him about that. That sounds pretty cool. All right. Without further ado, let's welcome Bob to the show. What's going on, Bob? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. You got a lot of good things right here in this bio. I just want to kind of dive right on in, man. It's like a smorgasbord of knowledge and understanding, and I just want to kind of get to know some of those things. But first and foremost, how's your week been going? How was your weekend?
Doing pretty well. So doing some remote work from home and enjoying being around the house a bit.
Gotcha. Well, it's nice to do remote work. I enjoy remote work. This is my home office. So I guess is it still remote when your home office is your main office?
I think you got both there.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that we both share a little bit of that because it seems like you're pretty agile and able to move here and there. So that's pretty cool. Hey, so tell me a little bit more about the Logos Bible software. I mean, co-founder, I've been looking into that software for 20 years.
So what our software is a digital library that's completely focused on Bible study. So we license books from publishers, we build electronic editions, and then what's really unique about our software is building kind of unique databases and tools to help people use the Bible study resources. So we've got search tools and kind of automated research assistants, essentially, that pull together reports. So if a pastor is writing a sermon, for example, then we help them go organize, hundreds and hundreds of books and bring that content that's relevant to just what they want to talk about this week. And I think at the basic level, you could compare our product to the Kindle, right? It's just ebooks, but it's instead of one book that you read start to finish, it's more like a reference library of hundreds of books that someone uses at once. We sell mostly to pastors and people who are kind of acting like a pastor in their church. And if you think about it, a pastor is someone who writes a 30-minute speech every week, maybe 2 or 3 30-minute speeches every week. And you need a lot of research tools to do that amount of writing. So that's what we provide.
I agree. And I love the way you just explained it, because I speak and because I'm a preacher, assistant pastor. So, and I mean, you can see this is my logos over here with multiple books, multiple Bibles, multiple versions of the Bible. I've got books that talk about angels. I've got books that talk about, the seraphim. I got books that talk about the battles in the Bible and every individual in the Bible, and all of these adjunct and ancillary books to help me with my creative thought and my spiritual process and my meditation. So whenever I'm going through it, so I love to be able to. I'm going to dive back into the logo software. I do love the smell of pages and turning pages. So I don't know. That's one of the things. I just got this little notepad right here, and it's really cool. But it's nothing like smelling pages and turning the page.
If you look behind me, I have some leather-bound books and some beautiful things that are just kind of objects of art, of printing. But honestly, those are almost the only paper books left in my life because I like finding the information fast as well. So I'm almost all digital except for a few things that are just beautiful to hold.
That's a good point. A lot of times when I'm studying and I'm preparing something to speak on, I do, even though I will go and take to some of my books, I will still go in. I'll be in front of my computer. I'll be like, tick, tick, tock, and I'll type something in and pull it up real quick. So to be able to have it in all of that one platform is awesome. So that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. Oh, one other question before we really get deep into these things, is your book, Fire Someone Today and Other Surprising Tactics for Making Your Business a Success. That, number one, the title in that, Fire Someone Today, right? And then number two, Russian and Korean. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I published that with a publisher, and one of the things the publisher does is try to, sell international rights. And those are the 2 languages where other publishers wanted to bring that book to their country. So I managed to get a copy of both of the Russian and the Korean ones. It was kind of fun. They did a nice job with both of them, although I can't read and judge the translation.
All right, so you beat me to my next question, which was, have you read those?
No, I haven't.
Awesome, man. So what are you doing now? What's going on now in life?
I'm in a transition phase. So I spent 30 years running Faithlife as CEO. So I co-founded it with a friend when I was 19 years old as a hobby project. And we quit our day jobs when I was 20 and we went full time. And I've been doing that same job for 30 years. So on January 1st, we promoted someone in the company into the CEO role, and I moved to executive chairman. And I don't know what executive chairman means either. I think no one knows. But it means I have a lot less meetings every day and can hopefully be focused on helping the CEO and the board with our long-term strategy.
That's interesting. So how did that come about? Was it just because you had been there so long? What came before the transition and gave you the mind to start making that transition?
So we changed some of our investors. So some of our early investors who'd been with us for 30 years cashed out. We brought in some new investors, and we just kind of started to make a change in the focus of where we're going. And I think that where we needed, after 30 years and almost 500 people, we needed to really just start to focus on improving our operational efficiency, putting in some bigger company systems. And those things aren't my passion. I love the creating products. I love the working with the customers and the employees. The mechanics of running a large organization, HR and benefits and, sales efficiency and all of those things, they're super important. They're just not my passion. And so we put a CEO in place who has a lot more kind of operational excellence experience and who is much better at doing those things than I am.
That's a lot of power in that statement right there. I mean, I want to start off with the humility that you possess, and the resound feeling that I get that you're very sure about yourself and that you are looking for the best of your organization, your company. You're looking for the growth of it. I think that's very powerful, and it speaks a lot towards your character.
That's very nice of you. I hope I can live up to that. There's days when I wish I was still, had day-to-day responsibility, or, it's weird to turn something you built over to someone else, right? And to put it in their hands and to trust them. But that's the essence of delegation and leadership. And while I certainly know it's important, it's always a difficult process as well, at least for me.
So, in thinking about this, because, there's going to be a CEO or an owner, somebody who feels as if the time has come in order for, this child that they've been rearing for so long, in order for it to maybe go into the newness of where we are in the world today, that somebody else may need to take that lead. What was the mindset that you had, the questions that went through your mind prior to you making the ultimate decision, or at least agreeing to the ultimate decision of taking a step back and letting others step forward?
It's an interesting process, right? I mean, I wrote a book called Start Next Now, and I've spent years encouraging young people and employees to kind of take the next step, to do the next thing. And in a weird way, I was kind of doing that and not doing that, right? Inside our company, we started lots of new things, right? We started writing Bible software, and then we wrote tools to help run churches, and we started a magazine and a publishing house and a streaming television platform. We made a documentary film. So I'm very much an initiator, right? I do start things all the time. But at the same time, all of that starting was within this one framework of the same company I've been running since I was 20 years old, right? And so while I'm a big proponent of, of getting on with the next thing, I was doing that kind of half-heartedly, right? I was starting new things, but always within this safe context of the existing organization. And I never had to, step completely out of my comfort zone of having leadership and control. And I think that's the exciting and, scary challenge for me right now is in this new role of executive chairman. I don't have the same kind of day-to-day responsibilities, and I have room to go explore new things, but I don't have all the same, resources and comfort I had from being, in a really strong, being in the CEO role. And it's kind of it's exciting and it's scary. So I'm glad to finally be able to start taking my own advice and to figure out my own kind of the next area I want to make a big contribution.
Okay, I feel that. So in Start Next Now, what is the advice that you're giving, young entrepreneurs, or you're giving others of how to release and how to gain?
Start Next Now came out of conversations with my own kids and with employees, right? I'd have interns every year. I always try to have coffee with interns, young, people who are early in their career. And I would ask people about their long-term ambition, right? What do you want to do? What's your plan for your life? And so many people have something exciting in their horizon, right? I want to eventually start my own business. I want to run this nonprofit. I want to do this, accomplish this task. And I would always ask, what are you doing about that? And what amazed me is how many people had somehow absorbed a message that they had to be so prepared that they could never start, right? Well, I couldn't take on, that until I got my degree, or until I finished doing this other project, or until I made enough money, and I'm a huge fan of planning. That's a great thing to do. But in almost everything you want to take on, there's a way to start today. And so many people are actually waiting for permission, right? They think that they need permission in terms of a degree, or they need permission in terms of a certain amount of money in the bank, or they even need literally permission from a parent or a teacher or a coach or a boss to say, yes, you can go do that thing. And they just let their lives slip away while they're waiting for permission. And so in a crazy way, Start Next Now is basically, it's permission to start. It's a book where somebody tells you it's okay to start right now, right? And ideas on how to break whatever it is you want to do down into small enough pieces to start today, right? I had a conversation once with a young woman whose ambition was to own her own jewelry store, where she also ran classes on making your own jewelry. And she was waiting for enough resources or enough money or somebody to help fund her retail shop or whatever. And we sat and talked about how you could start now, right? How you could, get a table at the farmer's market, how you could show up at the local craft bazaar, for the Christmas thing, and how you could offer to teach a Saturday class to young people about jewelry making, or, there's ways to start that project now. But it's very easy to get just caught up in this trap of, well, I can't start until I have, $50,000 in the bank, and I have, kind of permission to start my business, as opposed to just getting going. In the same way, so many employees are waiting for their boss to promote them, right? Well, I'll just wait till I get promoted. And they're not taking initiative at work to say, what could I do to take the next step, or to prepare for the next role, or to show my boss that I'm, already taking on this next area of responsibility.
That's powerful, Bob. That's powerful, man. When you're out there speaking, if this is the content that you're giving to people, this is powerful, extremely powerful. Just when you mention about employees waiting, waiting to be able to move up that next level, waiting for somebody to say, hey, you're worthy. We value you to have a raise, or we value you to have a new position, or maybe the employees are they're waiting for such a long time that their passion leads them to do something else. And then fear, sets in, and they're like, nope, I'll take whatever it is that my employer gives me. All of those are really pertinent and messages that should be heard, I think, by everybody, especially.
Yeah, I need to hear it myself. And I think, I look back and I realize now that one of the great blessings I had was parents who just kind of had an assumption of yes, right? The default answer to my parents to any crazy childish idea was, let's try it, right? And it took me a long time to see what an incredible blessing that was, and how different that is from most people's experience, right? So when I, had an idea to start a business when I was 5 years old, my parents didn't tell me 5-year-olds don't start businesses. They helped me start my tiny little business that made like $9 when I was 5 years old. And when I wanted to start a software business in high school, they encouraged me in that, instead of telling me I didn't know enough or didn't have the resources to do it. And when I said I wanted to, quit my job and go full time with what became Faithlife, they were encouraging and supportive, and eventually even joined the company and worked for me, right? And that's something that was a great blessing for me. And that's what I want to give to other people in this book, right? Is permission to kind of take the role of that parent or coach or teacher that says, you can start, and let's figure out how to start today.
So then I guess my question goes back to, you were mentioning with this business, with logos, the Faithlife Corporation. What was it exactly? Because you're saying that I guess there was new ambiances that came with the business, or in order it needed to be restructured in some kind of way to be able to reach greater amount of people. But what was it in your mind that said, this is my time?
At some level, just all the things that initiated this round of changes, it was just a long time, right? 30 years is a long time in one role, and it's a great blessing in some ways. But just as I've seen in other people, I was seeing in myself, right? You accumulate a lot of baggage, right? And every once in a while, it's nice to do a full reset on that baggage. And you can do those resets in partial or full ways. But I think that I was in some way kind of almost subconsciously recognizing just kind of the accumulated baggage of that, of not having made a dramatic change in a while.
Do you think it's important that people make dramatic changes?
That's something I go back and forth on, right? I love continuity. I love history. I love having a long-term perspective. And I think there's something awesome about, businesses and people who serve for a long time in one role. On the other hand, it can make you resistant to new ideas. It can make you resistant to change. It can become far too comfortable. And I think that's why, most people's lives or careers are kind of have these different punctuation points where something more dramatic happens. And I think every once in a while, there's something nice to making essentially kind of calling a reset on something. You can keep throwing out every sock that has a hole in it, or one day you can say, you know what, it would cost me about $12 to replace all the socks in this drawer and start over. And every once in a while, I think you should throw out the whole sock drawer and buy a bag of new socks. And that kind of gets rid of that kind of ongoing baggage of kind of constant evaluation and looking at old things and wondering how long you're going to live with this old problem.
Wow. That's a way of saying things. It's a powerful way of saying things. Well, here's a question for you then. Do you believe that to continue something, or to continue something versus change, can those two things be equal, or are they always averse?
It's a great question. I think it's different for different people. I like to do resets, but I also have recognized that I've stayed in the same role for 30 years, right? I'm running, most people don't have 30 years without a career change, right? That's a really almost a ridiculously long time to never put anything else on your resume. On the other hand, like I said, we did many new things inside that company. We're not just doing what we started doing. We've done lots of things along the way. And I think there's power in both of those. I mean, my wife and I have moved homes several times. And, every time you move homes, you want to bring some of the things from your old home along that are comfortable, right? But it's also, the new home is different, and it's going to work differently, and you're going to behave differently in a new space that, that shapes you differently. And the last time we moved, we left all our furniture. The people who bought our house wanted all of our furniture. They liked the way we decorated. It fit that house. And the new house we're moving to was a completely different style. And it was a little weird to say, well, maybe you've got this one family heirloom or antique that you want to make sure you take with you. And it's great to bring that history along and keep that connection. But it's also great to kind of let go and start over. And, we had a table that we'd had custom made that we really liked and had a great story behind, but they really liked that table and they wanted it to stay. And we let it go. And we just left all the furniture basically. And we moved into a new house. And the new house looks great because it's furnished the way it should be furnished, not furnished with the mishmash of all the pieces of furniture we pulled along for years from house to house to house, right? And it was kind of, the new house feels like a reset. And we live in it slightly differently than we lived in the last house, but it's because it has a different shape and a different set of rooms and a different arrangement. And I'm really glad for that. And there's days when I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell that story about the really cool dining room table that we, pieced together out of interesting, old parts. But you know what? That it's also nice to let that go and make new stories and new memories.
Very well. Very well. I definitely heard a lot about letting go in there, and how letting go is a lot more than just accepting that somebody possibly has done something wrong to you and you need to let go to get beyond it, but actually physical attachments and, certain lifestyles, letting go can be as broad as is necessary in order to declutter both the mind and the space around somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So then what is in your mind now then? Because I believe that you have something that is, in your mind, maybe you're thinking about, or something that, something that's just sailing your boat. And maybe you haven't started yet, or maybe you have, but is there something that you are thinking or looking towards doing?
I'm working on another book. And so that's something I need to get finished and should be putting more time into. And it's kind of along the lines of Fire Someone Today and Start Next Now. It's another book of kind of writing down the unwritten rules, right? Helping unpack something that might not be obvious to people on their way up in their career and experience.
Wow. Yeah, I want to read your books, buddy. I got to get a hold of them. They're probably on Amazon, right?
They are. And one of them is actually, you can read Start Next Now online. In fact, it has some interactive elements and features, and they're both available on Amazon as well.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely want to read that. So the thing that you have going on besides being the executive chairman now is you're looking forward to writing a book that you've already started. What else? Is there something else that you have going on?
I'm interested in kind of doing more of what I've been doing, right? So sharing some of this inspiration for people to get started on projects and helping with that. I have a few roles where I'm in a board or advisory role in different situations. And I'm looking for kind of the next problem I want to solve in a big space, right? To go find something, a problem where people have got obstacles that my skill set can address. I love using technology to make people's lives easier. What all of our products we ever did at Faithlife was about taking the tediousness out of processes so you could focus on the heart of it, right? When we build electronic book software, it's about meaning you don't have to go to your shelf and pull 12 books off the shelf and check the index and look something up in the back and get to the, if you want to look something up in a Greek dictionary, you should be able to double click the English word and have it find the Greek word underneath that English word and then look that up in the Greek dictionary and put it on the screen, right? You shouldn't have to, use one book to find out what the Greek word is and another book to find out the definition of the Greek word. It's all about removing tediousness, right? I always want to get to the heart of things and get all the mechanics and tedious things out of the way.
Have you ever thought about consulting?
Not really. I think I love giving advice to people, but I haven't done anything in the consulting space because until very recently I was 100% all day, all the time on Faithlife.
That's interesting because everything that you're discussing is about consulting. It's either consulting or coaching. I mean, all of it, even when it comes down to your speaking, even when it comes down to how you answer your questions, even when it comes down to the thing that you desire to do the most. Your passion is removing the tediousness out of things, making things easier, and then helping other people to make things easier. The books that you write are all geared towards teaching somebody the lessons that you've learned, the successes that you've had, and then the techniques that you use. So really, when I hear what you're saying, and being someone who believes that you're the person that loves to help other people and see other people grow, you enjoy seeing the aha moment. Mm-hmm. Consulting is where it's at, consulting and coaching. So I don't know if that might have been a hidden passion of yours, but man, I feel it deeply.
Well, I will have to give some thought to that. Thank you for the encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see exactly where you go from this space because you're a very successful individual. You've got a great mind on your shoulders. You've done a lot of really good things. And I think that there's a lot of stuff that people can learn from you. And even in our audience today, especially being in the C-suite type of area, understanding that sometimes there comes like this position or this place where maybe if you were to take a step back, you might be able to see things from a different viewpoint and grab greater success. And then also, simply because you take a step back doesn't mean that you're counted out, because there may be something even greater on the horizon for you that you're just gearing up and getting ready for. What do you think about that?
I think you're right, and that's the kind of reminder that everybody needs to hear when going through any transition, right? It's hard to make any transition, and that's the whole point of Start Next Now and everything else, right? It is scary to take those steps, but if you're not moving, you're not making any progress on it, right? And one of the things that's in Start Next Now is this idea that that the distance between here and your goal is not filled with time. Most people think it's filled with time. Like 5 years from now, I'll be my own boss, or 5 years from now, I'll have written my book, or 5 years from now, I'll have done whatever. But the distance between here and your goal isn't filled with time. The distance between here and your goal is filled with changes, and you can start making changes every single day.
Yes, you can. That reminds me of what you said earlier about the small step advice, just kind of like building your way into it.
Yeah. And if you just wait for something to happen, thinking 5 years is long enough for it to happen, if you don't take any steps, you'll have made no progress, right? And you can take the first step today, which is actual progress on that goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Give us an example of something that you've done and the steps that you utilize to get there, from the smallest step that you can think of, maybe even like writing your book, Start Next Now, some of the smallest things that you did.
With Start Next Now, I had a conversation. I think the actual impetus was a conversation with some interns at lunch, right? And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? They've got some questions I want to answer. And I thought maybe some other people would want to hear these answers too, because the interns I went to lunch with really liked what I said that day. So I went home and I just opened up like PowerPoint and I just made some slides, right? And it's super fast to make slides, just typing bullet points into slides. And then I just sent out an invite and said, hey, I had this conversation that I thought was really interesting with the interns, and the other interns or other people, if you want to hear it, I'm going to be in the conference room at lunchtime, and I'll just come and talk through the points I talked through. And a few people show up and we talk through that and they ask some questions, and then I go back and I revise those slides. And then I actually put those slides up on the internet on SlideShare. And then I got comments and feedback on those slides. And then I turned that slide into I started writing about each bullet point on the slides, and that became the book, right? And taking on a book feels like a big project. Putting my ideas into an outline with bullet points, that's an easy project. And then it's not that hard a project to take, to refine that list of bullet points and then to write a little more text about each bullet point. And talking through those bullet points with people kind of puts in your head all the words you want to put in your book.
There you have it, everybody. If you want to start your book right now, Bob Pritchett has just given you the recipe to start a new book, to author your own book without going through that mind-boggling feeling of, it's too much. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Just start with small steps. I love it. Hey, Anna, is there any way that you could get that we can put a banner up on the screen? I'd love to put on the screen these links to the Start Next Now. Hey, Bob, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how could they get in contact with you? She's going to see if she can get those up on the screen, but how do they get your book?
So the books are on Amazon, and they each have a webpage. So startnextnow.com and firesomeonetoday.com. And I'm reachable at my personal email, bob@knowit.com, NOET.com.
Awesome. Start Next Now. Get the book at startnextnow.com. And then Fire Someone Today at firesomeonetoday.com. All right. Awesome. Hey, Bob, do you have any final comments that you would like to leave with our audience?
I think really just reiterating that same point. If you got something in mind, get going on it. Figure out what the smallest thing you could do in the right direction is, and start that thing tonight. right? You know, if you always been wanting to write the book, pull up PowerPoint or Google slides or something and start laying out your bullet points, and then find somebody to talk them through with. Just get going.
Awesome, man. I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate your time. I'm definitely going to order one of your books. I can't wait to read Start Next Now. So I'll go one at a time. But now, which one was the one that I can just download?
Start Next Now is readable on the internet, and I'm actually going to give you a coupon code where you can read it for free. So SNXN for Start Next Now. SNXN. If you use that coupon code at startnextnow.com, you can read the online version. It's not a very long book. It's like 45 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Listen, everybody, this is Bob Pritchett. Thank you, bud.
Joel.
So Bob is extremely interesting, a very kind, compassionate guy, and he definitely cares about people. And I think that means a lot, especially when you're out there looking and searching for books, because most people, I shouldn't say most, but there are some authors that are writing books simply because they want to become the author, or simply because of some other reason besides really, really, really desiring to give the information out because it will matter. How many that is in comparison or in percentages, I don't know. It's a thought of mine. So I guess you can take that with a grain of salt. However, by the words of Bob, I can tell you that I truly believe that he desires to give out his information because he wants to help people. He wants to see them develop. And his refining system of how he's developed his books and how he's developed his life and what he's given up in order to be the best version of himself at every stage and every step. I think that means a whole lot. Reading one of his books, I believe, would give us a great advantage at seeing inside his world, and maybe even seeing better inside of our own. Listen, no matter where you are, you'll make your own decisions. And maybe this will be one of them, because when it really comes down with it, as much as it starts with you, it starts with me. Peace.